I make videos all about being a spicy creator, specifically OnlyFans and Slushy. Those are my two main platforms. Earlier this year, I made a video about the dark side of OnlyFans. And so I kind of wanted to piggyback off of that video and talk to you about when it's your sign to give up or to like not even start doing spicy content creation. And I know that sounds really negative, but I think that it's something that not a lot of people talk about. Like obviously, even on my channel, we talk about how to make this work. We talk about how to make money. We talk about all the positives really. And I do think that's important, especially in a career like this, to talk about why this isn't for everybody. And this is not to scare you or tell you that you shouldn't do this. It's really to take an honest look at who you are as a person, who you are as a creator, your actual goals in life and like what you want to do and who you want to be, for you to make an educated decision on what you want to do. And there's also many different paths when it comes to this industry, and there's different ways to make a really profitable living off of this type of content. So even if maybe one avenue of this type of work isn't for you, it doesn't mean that something else isn't. And I talked about that in my last video. I talked about how I actually was introduced to this world through sugar babying and how that avenue just wasn't for me, and I didn't enjoy it and I didn't like it, and it made me feel awful, where, you know, maybe someone else who's doing online content creation might feel the same way, but then they do something else within the industry and it works really well for them. So if this is something that you want to get into and you know that much, then there's definitely a path for you and we can figure that out and figure out what's best for you. But today's video is really going to be figuring out if the adult industry is really your path anyways, and like really diving into those questions, those deep questions that you need to ask yourself. Let's just start with the basic question. Is virtual sex work right for you? So I think the first part of this is knowing that adult content is sex work and being comfortable with the idea of you doing sex work. Like even that word is like very taboo, and if you cringe even hearing it, like this industry might not be for you, because that's what it is. You're gonna be doing adult content, whether that is, you know, going all the way or just doing something that's maybe flirtatious or whatever. Like it's all under the umbrella of making content for pleasure, for sexual gratification and that type of pleasure. So it falls under adult content, and you do have to be comfortable and confident with the idea that that's what people are going to see you as, and that's what their intentions are when looking at your content. And like I said, there's different like levels to this type of content, and I think even on like the non-explicit side of this content, where maybe you're just making bikini and lingerie photos and like you're not actually doing any, you know what I'm talking about, any of the super explicit stuff, I guess we'll put it that way. Even if you're doing that, you have to be comfortable with the idea that you are still making content that someone is enjoying in that way. So I think just right off the bat, is that something you're comfortable with? Is that something you're comfortable with people having the idea and impression of you making this type of content? Again, whether you're doing explicit content or not, people are going to still see you and view you in a certain way if you're making content for adult pleasure, you know? Okay, now that leads me into the next question. Are you concerned with what people think about this? Is it gonna keep you up at night? Is what people think going to affect you in a way where you can't stop thinking about it? You can't stop thinking about if this person finds out or if that person finds out. And that's not to say that you can't still have like a very private online presence. You totally can, and you can stay anonymous, and there's definitely ways to do that. But if you are totally terrified of like somebody finding out in your life, then I honestly don't think it's for you, because whether you want to be anonymous or not is totally separate from if someone did find out in your close circle, if that would destroy you. If that would destroy you, then I don't think that this is for you. If it's just like, hey, I want to keep it anonymous, if someone finds out, you know, they find out, I don't really want them to, but they find out, then that's different. But I just don't want you to feel like your life would be ruined if people in your, you know, immediate circle or people in your hometown account if they found out. Because at the end of the day, like, there are definitely identifying characteristics about you and your body that if someone saw them, they might know that it's you. And the internet is like a place where word travels fast, you know? And if one person sees it that knows that a person that knows you, then it can travel very, very quickly. And I will say, in all the years that I've been doing this, like, I've definitely heard people be like, oh, Alanah does OnlyFans, like, ew, or whatever. But it's never once affected me. Like, I never even thought, oh, if that person saw it, like, that would affect me in any way. Even, like, I know this sounds really, really strange and, like, completely wrong, but, like, even the thought of my mom, like, seeing my content, like, yeah, I don't want her to. But the thought doesn't destroy me as a person. Like, I'm like, I think she would just click away and, like, turn away and, like, swat it away, and that's the end of it. So for me, I don't have, like, any feelings of, like, any single person on this planet seeing it and, like, feeling horrible. Like, I just feel like myself. And if you feel like, you know, obviously there's that cringe feeling, like, ooh, I don't want them to see this, and that's okay. But if you feel like you will be destroyed over this content, then I don't think you should do it. And again, like I said, there's avenues. Maybe there's a certain type of content that you would feel comfortable doing. Stick within that realm. Like, do what makes you feel comfortable if that's what you want to do. And also, if it takes time to get used to certain things, that's different too. If it's like, I know I want to do this, I know I want to get comfortable with it, I just need to, like, get there, then I think that's okay, and maybe this will work out for you. So let's move on to the next question. Do you have a stigma against sex work? Because if you're going to be part of this community, I think it's really important to support other people within the community, and that means everybody. And if you don't support strippers, if you don't support escorts or dominatrix or all these things or porn stars, then I don't think you have the right to be part of the community. I think you should be able to support other people's choices, and that doesn't mean that you have to do them or that you have to be 100% in agreement with everything about that specific niche part of the industry. But I think you need to be supportive, and I think you can't have, like, a stigma against other people's choices, because this is a really stigmatized career path, and we have to band together as this type of worker, and we have to be in this together. So I think if you have any stigmas, you need to work through those before choosing to join the community, because we need to support each other. We need to build each other up. We need to, you know, just be there for each other. And even, like, within the virtual, like, content creation world, I think even the different versions of what that looks like. So obviously there's, like, non-explicit all the way to, like, really, really explicit content. And if you're a porn star, you shouldn't be shamed. And if you're an OnlyFans creator, you shouldn't be shamed. And if you're whatever else, if you're a cam girl or whatever, like, you need to be able to support everybody within realm of sex work. As long as it's legal stuff is what I'm talking about. Legal, consensual, adult content. That's legal. Okay? But yeah, you just need to be supportive of the others that are, you know, just trying to make a freaking living out here. Okay, so the next thing is about negative comments. So it's just the reality of this industry. You're gonna get negative comments, whether you're, like, really big on social media or really small. And is that gonna be something that tears your self-esteem down? Is that going to be something that really affects you? Maybe it's not people finding out. Maybe it's people just talking on the internet. You have to be strong enough. And this is a part that, like, not a lot of people are comfortable with, is the negative talk, hate comments, the hate speech, all these nasty things that people are going to say about you or to you, whether that's in real life, but mostly in your comment section on your content. This is something that I think a lot of people have a hard time with, and even I have a hard time with sometimes, even still, is just whenever there is negativity, it's hard to deal with, and it's also, like, not normal. Like, this isn't something that you normally go through in life. You don't normally get to hear everyone's, you know, horrible opinions about you. People don't normally say that to you. So it's something to get used to, and it's something that's really difficult. And I will say, if you get a comment and it ruins your life and it's, like, ruined your entire month, then maybe it's just something to think about. Like, am I cut out for this? Is this gonna, you know, really hurt me in the long run? And talking about self-esteem, going off of that question, Are you comfortable with your body enough that you're able to look at it and not want to change your body too much, or like, unless that's what you want to do. You know, there's different levels again to that. If you always know, like, I always wanted a nose job. I always wanted a nose job, and one day I will get a nose job. And it's not really something that's going to change whether I do this content or not. But basically, are you confident enough to look at yourself and not compare yourself too much to other people? Because obviously we all do it. That's completely normal. But are you going to ruin yourself doing this? Are you going to ruin yourself by comparing? Is your self-esteem going to be okay? Like, you have to be real with yourself. Are you okay within yourself enough to not compare too much? Again, we all compare. It's all gonna happen. I still compare myself to other people. I still want to get certain things done and whatever, and that's totally normal. But are you going to completely change your body? Are you going to completely ruin your self-esteem by doing this work and comparing yourself? You have to just think realistically, and that's a big one too. And I think that we all kind of go through it, and I've talked about this on my podcast a lot. With Michaela, where we both talked about like editing our bodies and comparing ourselves and not really realizing what's real and what's not, because the internet is sometimes a lie. So it's definitely something to think about. Okay, the next one is like the fun part, the lighthearted part. Do you like to make content? Is this something you like to do? Do you have a high sex drive? Do you have interest in talking to people on the internet? Do you want to do this? I think a lot of people come in thinking like, oh, I just want to make a lot of money. And it's like, well, you can make a lot of money doing a lot of different things. Why are you choosing this career path? What is it about this that enticed you? You know, is it just the quick money? Because it's not quick money. It was in 2020, but like, it can be quick, but it's a lot of work. So is this the type of career that you want to have? Do you enjoy making content? Do you enjoy talking to fans? Do you enjoy making customs? Do you enjoy editing and all of that goes into this? Do you enjoy building a network of people? Like, there's so much to it, and I think you have to realize like this is gonna consume your life. You don't want to hate your job. You don't want to hate what you're doing every single day. And I think I've mentioned it in the beginning when I first started, but I was spending every single day, all day long, up until like 3 a.m. building my OnlyFans when I first started. That's how many hours I put into it. I didn't just like wake up and post a picture and like make a bunch of money. I spent hours of research. I spent hours of creating content. I spent hours talking with my fans, making custom content. Do you want to do that? Do you want to spend hours doing that? That's just something that you have to think about, is that like any career you're going to choose to do, you have to like it. You have to want to do it, or you're not going to be successful. And then it's just going to be a waste of your time. And I stand by that, because it's not for everyone. And if you don't like something, like, why do it? Find something that you actually really like to do. For me, I always knew I wanted to go into sex work. I just didn't know what path I wanted to. And I've mentioned it in so many videos now, but like growing up, I always watched Playboy or like The Girls Next Door. And I wanted to be a Playboy bunny so bad. And I knew exactly what they did. And I always wanted to do that. And then I grew up and I, like I said, tried being a sugar baby, and it just wasn't for me, and I couldn't figure out what I wanted to do within the industry. And so when this came along, it was like, it was a perfect fit. And that's why it worked out, because like it felt like it was meant for me. Like, this is what I wanted to do, because I had always been doing like online content, and then somehow it like tied in together. And that's why I'm doing this. So what is your why? Like, why do you do it? Do you like to do it? The next part of that kind of goes into hand in hand. Do you like digital marketing? Do you like social media? Do you like being an influencer? Because a lot of this is actually building up your social media brand and your presence. So do you like making content for like other social media platforms, not just your spicy pages? And do you like doing research on that type of stuff? Because it changes. Like every few months or every year, there's like a different something that's like going viral. So do you like to learn about digital marketing? Do you like to stay up to date with the social media trends? Because if you don't, you know, it's going to be really hard to build your audience. And the last part of this, it kind of goes back to what we were talking about before. Do you like to connect with fans in this way? I think that that's another thing too, is like there's different ways to connect with fans. And in this industry, you're talking to people in a certain way. a lot of it is actually like therapy. Like you're really just having these honest conversations about people's fantasies and stuff that they can't really talk about anywhere else, but also like, you know, just their daily lives. But then there is the people that want dirty talk, that want to talk in a certain way to you, and or for you to talk in a certain way to them. And so do you like doing that? I have had friends be really curious about like what people message me. So I've like told them about some of the conversations I've had, obviously nothing personal so that my fans are like anonymous and all that. But I've told my friends about some of the conversations I've had, and they're like, how on earth do you have those conversations? Like I would feel so uncomfortable. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't feel uncomfortable. Like it feels like it's cut out for me. It feels like it's like, this is what I'm meant to be doing with my life. So are you prepared for conversations that maybe make other people feel uncomfortable? Are you prepared to just be that person for somebody? It's definitely a different kind of conversation that you're gonna have that takes some getting used to for sure, but it's very deep. So are you ready for those types of conversations? Do you wanna have those conversations? Does that having a conversation drain you? Those are some things to think about. So that is the video for today. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope that you think about these questions deeply before, or even if you're in it and you're like, I haven't been feeling, you know, great about it, or maybe you're feeling really great about it, but there's part of it that you need to maybe adjust. That's something too, is like, if you're doing stuff that's out of your comfort zone, maybe you need to adjust and start to do things that make you feel good. And there's plenty of ways to make this work where it will also feel really good for you and feel natural for you. So just make sure that you're thinking about these questions, you're making adjustments where necessary, and you're being real with yourself. I think that's a really important part of this, is just to be honest with what you want to do and who you want to be online. I hope that it was helpful to kind of think about these things. And if it was, please let me know in the comments down below, or if there's any other kind of like part of this that you think is important to think about. I would love to hear all your thoughts. So I'll see you in the next video. Bye.